Hi, welcome to CIS252, Management of Information Systems. My name is Dr. Ann-Janette Locke, and I will be your instructor for this course. So I've put together this video to give you a little bit of information about the course since it is all online. I want to be sure you are set up for success. So first, a little bit about me. I am an assistant professor of computing and data analytics here in the College of Business and Economics at AU. My office is in the Vandiver building up on the 3rd floor. So if you can find it, I welcome you to come by anytime, even just to introduce yourself so that I can put a name with a face, since I won't get to see you in person otherwise. My office hours are listed there, but you are welcome to make an appointment with me outside of those hours. You can use my booking link here, or email or call me anytime. But I have an open door policy. You're welcome to just walk in without an appointment. I'm just not guaranteed to always be here except during those office hours or if we make an appointment. And I wanted to mention that all the information that you see here are in the intro slides in the intro module of the Canvas course. All right, so a little bit about the course. There are some technology expectations. You are not required to own your own computer for this course, but you will need a plan to have access to a computer somehow. All of the assignments must be done on a computer. But it can be a campus lab computer or your own computer. It can't be a Chromebook or iPad. So you'll need a computer. If you are using your own computer, then you need to be sure that you have Microsoft Office 365 apps installed, particularly Microsoft Access and Microsoft Excel. Access does not function on a Mac. So if you have a Mac computer, you need to be added to the virtual desktop, and I have to request that for you from IT. So if you didn't see my email about that preterm, then send me an email saying you would like to be added to that, and I will get you set up on that right away. And then there are some instructions that I will send you. Once I hear that you've been added, I'll send you instructions. So you want to make sure you get that set up right away because your very first assignments in the course are going to involve the use of Microsoft Access. And then also Microsoft Excel. Now you need to be sure you download those apps and not just rely on the cloud version since those are not the full versions of the apps. All right, we're going to be using 2 different platforms for your assignments, SimNet and XPrep, so you want to be sure you have access to those. That access is provided for you through Trojan textbooks, so you're going to get to those through the links that are there for your assignments in Canvas. So you should not need to do anything to be able to access those. If you find that you can't, your links are not working, then let me know as soon as possible. All right, a little bit more about computer labs. The Vandiver Computer Lab is open every day, 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. Classes are in there most of the time on most days, but you can have access to it after those hours, so after about 6 p.m. all the way to 2 a.m., or on weekends if you would like. So if you want to be able to get in there to do your work, just let me know, and I need to request from Campus Safety that they give extended access to you. They'll add that to your AUID card so that you can get into the building for those extended hours. Now on Thursdays, there aren't classes all day. There are some windows of time. You see the details about that at the bottom when the lab is open, and there's going to be a person in there that can help you with assignments if needed. So if you are having trouble with anything, another instructor, Mr. Harv Bird, will be in there on Thursdays during the day. And then in the evening, we have a student worker who is there. And so it's basically free tutoring for this class, that they are happy to do their best to help you with your assignments, and you can avail yourself of that if needed. Now, I failed to mention before that if you're using this lab or any other on campus, it might be that while you're working on an assignment, you don't quite finish it before you get to the point of submitting it for a grade. So what you need to do is be sure to use a flash drive or have some way of saving your work if you have to leave that lab before you are ready to submit the assignment. So if you save your work to a flash drive, you can take it with you, come back later, and get back to work on it. If you do not have your own flash drive, we have some available. The College of Business is happy to provide one for you, so you just need to let me know and stop by my office sometime to get a flash drive so that you can keep up with your work. All right, so let's motivate all of this a little bit. A couple of things. One place that you can go to, if you follow this link in the slides, there is a site called onnetonline.org that gives, this site collects information about job postings from all over the country. And then there are various things you can do in here. It's you might want to come to this site on your own and just look at your major or job titles you're interested in, and it'll give you information about that job, where those job postings are across the country. And then if you look at a particular job, what's the range of pay you could expect? What kind of degree do you need? What kind of skills are required? And one of the skill sets that is recorded here is what kind of technology skills. And then there's a list. If you go here to find occupations, you can look for hot technologies. That's the ones that are in demand the most by employers. And so you can see, if you just click on hot technologies, what is at the top of the list is Microsoft Office software. So in CIS 120, we teach some of the ones at the very top: Excel, PowerPoint, and Word. And then a little farther down the list, you'll see Microsoft Access. Not quite as popular. It is in there, but that is not the main reason that we teach Access. I just want to show you, though, that it is requested by employers. But you can see what is at the top is Microsoft Excel. And we will spend most of the time in this course on Microsoft Excel, going deeper than what is covered in CIS 120. And so that is what I wanted you to see there, but you can use this site for your own purposes to investigate jobs and see what's out there. So let me go back to the slides and look at the relational databases. Microsoft Access is a type of relational database. And so I want to look, there is a site that ranks the different relational database engines that I linked to here. And I just wanted to show you this, that in the top 10, Microsoft Access does still make it into the top 10, but it's being used less and less because there are other things that are more popular in business. These other systems are what you're more likely to run into, and they are much better at handling big data. Access is slow and clunky and not very good at that. The main reason we really still use Microsoft Access is because it is great for teaching, for small projects and for teaching. I say small projects. I've had a couple of students, I teach a class where we still use it, but we use it for learning about the design of a relational database and for learning SQL query language. And so it's great for teaching, but I have had students in that class tell me that they did an internship or a co-op where their employer required them to use Microsoft Access. And it's just in the last couple of years. Microsoft is still supporting Access and still making updates to it. They released a new update to it last year. And so it's not going anywhere just yet. It's still very useful for a demonstration and teaching and learning concepts, and it's included with Microsoft Office, so we're going to use it for general educational purposes. And that might not be the one that you see when you get into your workplace after college, but the concepts you learn about it are transferable to any other relational database system that you see elsewhere. Okay, so back to our slides here. All right, along the lines of gaining important skills and what technologies are important to employers, one thing that you will be able to do in this course that is valuable is at the end of the course, you will be able to take an exam that proves that you have mastered certain skills in Microsoft Excel. So you'll be able to take this black belt exam in Excel, and if you score 90% or higher, you will earn a badge. And so it's a digital credential, which means that you could then take that badge and post it on a place like LinkedIn. So if you have a profile on LinkedIn, that's great for professional networking purposes. You'll be able to post your badge there. And what is nice is that an employer can click on that badge and it will show your certificate, but also there will be a list of skills that you have mastered in order to earn that credential. So it's some evidence to potential employers that you did something to actually earn this credential. Otherwise, you wouldn't have it. And anything that can give you a little edge when it's time to apply for internships and jobs, I think is worth having. And so if you will apply yourself throughout the course in trying, as you work through your assignments, don't just phone it in. I encourage you to really put your best effort into it so that you really understand what you're doing and why. And then when it comes time to take this test, you'll be able to knock it out of the park. And that will be a benefit to you on your resume and in the future. Anyone can say, I know how to use Excel, but this offers some proof to put behind those words. Okay, so now about the course, the groupings of assignments, there's 3 different major groups that affect your grade. There are homework assignments, independent projects, and tests. And you can see the weighting there, and all of these are delivered through either SimNet or XPrep. XPrep is solely for Excel assignments, so we won't use that just yet, but that will provide for additional practice in Excel. In SimNet, there are a variety of types of assignments, and all I want to mention here is that the SimPath is one major type of assignment, and it is structured differently from the projects in SimNet. The SimPaths, you're going to watch a video about how to complete a SimPath before you do your first graded assignment that is a SimPath in the first in the Access module that you're going to complete. So I won't go into detail about how to do that, but just to mention that that is a certain type of assignment that's just covering content. And then you will do projects where you will be learning and demonstrating that you know how to do the things you learned in the SimPath. You'll be practicing. The capstone projects will be tests in this course. So they're the most heavily weighted thing. And there will be 2 capstones assigned. This says 1 completed in class, and actually that's not true. For an online course, they will be all online, but they will be timed as if you were in class. And the reason for that is that the students who are in a hybrid section of this course have a limited time to complete a capstone assignment just because they're sitting in a classroom. So you will have basically the same amount of time that they do. For all of these assignments, there are some details that are different, but for the most part, they all have multiple attempts. And so, and the highest score is retained. So the main thing that would keep you from making a 100 is the time that you're willing to put into it, because you do have opportunity to improve your grade. The black belt exam, you will be able to do that instead of the final capstone project in Excel. So there's a final capstone in Excel, or you can do the black belt exam. And I encourage you to try the black belt exam, but that is in the simulated environment. It's not the same as how you will complete the projects. And so since it is a different setting that you don't have as much practice in, then I wanted to offer this other option of completing the capstone final project instead of completing the exam. But I encourage everyone to try the black belt exam because that's where you would earn your credential. Okay, a little bit more about the categories here. So all the assignments that are considered homework, those are all for your learning. You are welcome to use any resource to help you learn the material. But you need to submit your own work. So anytime a homework assignment requires a submission, so like you'll download a file to work in and then you upload, you must submit your own file. Your files will have a digital footprint, so you cannot submit someone else's, and you cannot copy and paste from another source into your file. All of those are considered integrity violations, and you either won't be allowed to submit, or I will get a flag saying that you violated the integrity settings somehow. So it looks like you're cheating, basically, so don't do it. Use your own file, do your own work in it. But using any resource means it's fine to talk to a buddy about, hey, how did you do this? Or Google, or ask me for help on those things. Independent projects, there are fewer of those. They're a little more difficult than the homework assignments because there are fewer instructions. But you're expected to do those on your own. You can still Google if you want, if you don't remember how to do something and you need a quick help. You can do that, but you're expected to do those independently, not with a team of your best friends from this class. So do the independent projects independently and submit your own work as well. And then the tests, those are the capstone projects and or the black belt exam. Those are all independent as well. The other thing I wanted to mention here was the late penalty. Okay, so the every assignment, with possibly the exception of some of these capstones, they are available now. They're open now, and they're open from now until the end of the term. But every assignment has a due date. So if you don't complete it by the due date, there is a 10% late penalty. The late penalty will be waived if you have a documented valid excuse, like sickness or a sporting activity kept you from being able to complete it on time. So you just need to communicate with me about those things and provide your documentation, and I will waive the late penalty. So on one hand, that's nice that you can complete something late, but then you don't get full credit. But the problem that can happen here is that the assignments will tend to snowball. And so you might be thinking, oh, well, I'll just do it late. But there are so many assignments in this course that they will quickly snowball, and it will become impossible for you to get back on track and back on top of your assignments. So I encourage you to do your best to stay on time with the pacing that's provided for you, and you'll get the most points that way anyway. All right, so here's just a brief overview of the flow of the course. You can see that we spend just a couple of weeks on Microsoft Access. That's very fast because that's not the primary goal of the course. The primary goal is Excel. We will begin with reviewing the things that you would have learned in CIS120, whether you took that here or maybe you had a dual enrollment course or something. We want to just review those skills to be sure all the things are in place that we're assuming are in place at this point. And then we will get into going deeper into Excel and doing more complex things. You can see where the two capstones are. And then the last capstone, or if you just choose to do the black belt exam, that will be completed during exam week. And it's actually going to be due, it should say that in your syllabus. It's also in Canvas. It's completed online, but timed as if you were in class. So the normal final exam period is 2 hours. So you would have 2 hours for the capstone. The black belt exam is a 90-minute time limit for that. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. This week you have an intro assignment. Congratulations, you just completed one part of that, which was watching this video. And you have a file management setup assignment that is just showing that you know how to set up a set of files to store your assignments and keep track of everything. And then in the access module, the very next thing, there's pretty much an assignment due every day, so you don't want to get behind. Go ahead this week and start working your way through those things as much as time permits, and that will help you to stay on top of things and be successful. Remember, you can always ask me for help at any time, and I would just love for you to stop by and say hello. And I pray that you'll have a great start to this semester.